Hey there, this is G Allastrology, and this is the final video for October. I'm sorry, I had to find out where the hell to look on the camera. This is the final video for the October 2019 energies, and this is Pisces rising. So if you do not know where your rising, what your rising sign is, go down below the video, comment, and I'll take care of you. I'll find that out for you. You just punch in your birth info and I can let you know what your rising sign is. That way you watch the correct video, the one which resonates most closely with your energetic frequency. Okay? Now, if you didn't watch part one, it is labeled as October 2019 All Signs video. So do yourself a favor, go and look at that one first. Before you watch this or after you watch this, but either way, I would definitely watch them together in conjunction. It gives you a better idea of what the energies are for the entire month, and just it's like there's this overarching energy of Pluto and transformation and deep stuff, soul stuff. So do yourself a favor and check that out. If you're new here, we do free readings for subscribers, for new subscribers. So you could also go down below and comment your birth info and let us know that you're brand new and you want a free chart, and we will take care of you. Also, make sure that you tap the bell. That way you are notified when your video is uploaded. All right, let's take a deep dive into this video. We're going to be talking about October's energies. So in October, we are looking at a full moon, which is in a few days. Today, I think, is the 8th or something like that of October. So we're coming, actually, I think we're on the 9th already. The 13th of October is a full moon in Aries. And then at the end of the month, we have a loaded full moon. I'm calling it loaded full moon. Loaded because it's not, okay, scratch that. A loaded new moon. We're having a loaded new moon. It's a new moon in Scorpio. And you want to make sure that you are aware of all the other things that are at play at the end of the month. I'm calling it choppy. Other than loaded, it is choppy. There's going to be a lot going on. And so you're going to want to know, that way you have this understanding ahead of time to be able to basically have an established sense of awareness of expectations, basically to not have expectations, and to not be so fixed in thinking. But either way, make sure you stay tuned for the end of the video. That way you can get the lowdown on what's coming down. Okay, I got to look at your chart here. So these are Pisces risings, which puts Pisces in the first house for people, okay? And I am seeing that the full moon happens in your second house. So what's the second house? First of all, let's discuss a full moon. Start there. The full moon is all about emotions, heightened emotions, okay? When heightened emotions occur, we think less. Usually the emotional body overrides the thinking body. And so we lose our sense of logic and rationale and thinking abilities. And because it's in Aries, I have to chuckle. Aries is a sign that is typically known to be impulsive. So for Pisces rising, Pisces in the first house, which automatically would put Aries in your second house, do you find that in your life you're an impulsive buyer? It's a good possibility. There might be, because Aries has a tendency to act before thinking, to leap before looking, to speak before thinking, to buy before thinking, So impulsivity, and I say buying and purchasing, especially things related to food, possibly, because it's in the house of, it's the second house. Second house is Taurus. So when we talk about these energies, and it's literally when we give them qualities, traits, and characteristics, these are how the vibrations that they emit at. And so the second house is Taurus. Taurus rules being comfortable, being at peace, being a bit stubborn, okay? It also rules food, sensations, taste, touch, smell. It rules speaking, voice. It rules the throat chakra. Taurus is a sign where once I'm comfortable, I kind of want to get into that comfortable spot and I don't want to move. All right. And it's about desire. What I want, what I feel is mine, what I own, my resources. So if you have Aries there, depending upon who you are and how long you've already been around in this lifetime, you still may be in a very impulsive place. You still may be in a very reactionary place. So these things are all about what this full moon's going to feel like for you. Now, there's also this Aries energy involved, which is I'm calling it the divine feminine energy. Okay, it's women's rights issues, all things about maternity, all things about being a mom or not being a mom, things about what I got during my childhood, what I didn't get during my childhood, just all maternal things, nurturing. So we think of the moon and the sign of Cancer. These are all things in which could be coming up at this time, and heightened levels of emotions. Okay, so being aware of that is half the battle, as they say. Now, that's at one end, okay? That's where your Aries thing is happening. It's at 20 degrees, okay, in your second house. At the polar opposite of it is Libra. And I have to bring this up because it's relevant. We're going to have Saturn and, we're having Mars and the Sun there. And so Mars and the Sun there are going to be opposing the moon. So it's not just a typical full moon where it's just the moon and the sun opposing each other, doing the tug of war. It's now the moon in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, by the way. And then it's also Mars on the other end. So it's kind of like having Mars over here and Mars over here, okay? And so there's this, I want to go this way, I want to go this way. I'm being pulled this way, but I'm being pulled this way. So these things are important to know. So this Mars thing and the Sun, this is going to be in your 8th house. So let's talk about the polarity of the 2nd house and the 8th house. I already talked about Taurus, right? So that means your 8th house, Aries, but the 8th house also, other than it's going to be Libra, but it's also, Libra's all about relationships. It's all about significant one-on-one relationships. So it feels like it's a pole of myself and me being with somebody else. So maybe my time alone and me having to spend time with somebody else. But because it's in your 2nd and your 8th house, it's really what I value, what somebody else values. It's my resources are shared resources. Okay? So there's this my resources, shared resources. There's this kind of thing going on. So you want to be aware of that, okay? The other thing that is going to be occurring is it's like there's an emergence happening. I've been describing it in the other videos. It's like the soul's coming through. So Aries, fire in general, is typical as a representation of our ego, okay? So depending upon where we are in our level of development as far as our ego, how much of the ego rules our life, how much of the soul rules our life, right? Well, at this time, it's as though there's going to be a breakthrough, as though there's going to be part of the, like the fire is literally going to kind of burn away some of the ego, and more of the soul is going to be bursting through. And this is going to be mixed with that feminine energy, that divine feminine energy. So women's rights, you may feel very passionate about. You may harness them at this time and feel as though, I want to do something about it. And literally, because Mars is in the opposing energy, it's about pairing up with people and doing something about it. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean I want to be a mom, I'm going to be a mom, I'm going to do what I have to do to be a mom? It doesn't necessarily mean that. There's a whole bunch of other factors that somebody would have to look at in your specific chart to tell you something like that. And that's not what this video is about. This is specifically to give an overall general idea of the energies, the current energies for the month of October. And I would recommend you talking to an astrologer if you wanted to know details. So now let's move along a little bit to the next part of October. The next part is going to be the new moon. And for you, new moon is occurring For you, the new moon is going to be occurring in your 9th house. So the 9th house is about your belief system. It's about your opinions. It's about higher learning. It's about wisdom, knowledge, religion, spirituality, philosophy. It's also about long journeys and traveling. It's also about foreigners. These are all 9th house things. The new moon happens at 4 degrees in Scorpio. Now, the new moon, something you want to be aware of here at this time, this is the loaded new moon, exactly opposing the new moon in your 9th house, okay, exactly opposing it in your 3rd house is Uranus. And Uranus is about freedom right now. It's about our sense of individuality, our original unique self, and that coming through. I'm calling it a coming out of the closet, and that's probably the wrong words to use, but in essence, it's something we've kind of known about ourselves, but we didn't have a whole lot of confidence in, okay? And we're ready. We've been actually working on it for all of 2019. And so 2019 at this time, especially this month of October when it's got this Pluto veil over it, remember, go back to the first video and take a peek, take a listen as to how I go into a little bit more detail about the meaning of that. Pluto is very regenerative. It is the phoenix rising. It is death, birth by death is what I'm calling it. Because we have to let something go. Remember what I said at the beginning part of the video. It's part of our ego, part of our material fleshy self letting go, and part of our soul emerging and coming through. It is a time when we acknowledge the individual, unique part of our being. I'm calling it the divine degrees of who we are. Our divine degrees are shining through, which is beautiful. So you have this happening in your 3rd house. Your 3rd house is all about communications, thinking, writing, speaking, friends, like as in neighbors or siblings. Okay, those are 3rd house things. 3rd house is internet and social media as well. So, you know, I want you to kind of think about how this is relevant in your life specifically. That's how you figure out, okay, how will this affect me? If you know anything about astrology, if you have your own chart, take a look at it and you'll see, okay, my 3rd house, I have Uranus there. So there might have been some revelations because Uranus is all about surprise, right? So there might be some revelations as to your thinking, how you think, and you might find something that's more optimistic and positive is what sets you apart from people, because this really is about a sense of freedom and a breaking free. Maybe there's a letting go of some old thoughts and harnessing some new ones and cultivating them, you know, more positive, optimistic ones that reflect more on who you are as a unique individual, and that it's okay to let that shine through. Matter of fact, humanity really, we are reliant, seriously. It is all the little pieces that make up the whole. And so we are reliant on individuals coming through right now with their unique skill sets, with their unique crafts, with the divine unique degrees of their being coming out and shining for all of us to receive. Now, that was the new moon, okay? At the same time, we're going to be receiving a square from Saturn, okay? Now, this is going to be touching on and squaring your 8th house, which is what I talked about, mutual resources, earlier in the video. So there's going to be some more work involved there. Square means tension. It means I got to work a little bit harder to make this work. So this is going to be, oh, I'm sorry. Let's backtrack that. Saturn is, no, I just didn't include it yet. I'm sorry. Saturn is actually going to be in your 11th house, squaring your 8th house. Now, let's drop all the astrology words, right? So Saturn squaring Mars in your 8th house. So you trying to work with others, trying to merge resources, trying to, 8th house is all about how we somehow are connecting with others' resources. And when Mars is there, you're assertive at it. You're working towards it. You're working towards merging in some way, okay? So eighth house. Let me list some eighth house things that might help you to give a better understanding. It's mutual resources. I already said that. Partnerships, collaborations, investors, loans, insurance. These are all eighth house things. Healings, deep healings. Eighth house is the house of bonding and intimacy. And it'll be receiving tension from the house of friends. That's what the 11th house is. It's our social circles. It's our tribe. It's also internet, okay? So be careful in communications by that way. And just understand that it's not a bad thing, but there's typically going to be some stress, meaning things aren't going to be as simple. You have to work a little bit harder. Instead of taking 4 steps, you have to take 8. That's a Saturn thing. Saturn's where it happens in my time, because Saturn represents time and it represents restrictions. So it's like, oh, crap. Instead of it just being pick up, the phone, press a button, you got to take like 3 or 4 more steps in addition to that. Okay, so just keep that in mind and don't get discouraged. Understand that where Saturn is involved, it's basically helping you to create something better, helping you to have a more quality product, because that is also Saturn. It is tangible, it's material, it's the physical world, but with a high level of integrity and high quality, okay? Now, to add to this loaded new moon, just a couple days after it, I know there's Halloween in there, but also on Halloween, which is October 31st, we have a Mercury retrograde occurring, okay? The Mercury retrograde is just the same as all the other ones in a way, because it's about having to redo things, having to slow down and be more methodical about things, having to really look at the details, being willing to look at the details, because I might have not have crossed a T or dotted an I, so to speak. I might have overlooked something. So you want to make sure that you're overlooking things and giving yourself more time to do these things, because of the fact that there just might be stuff that you skipped over. That's typically what the retrograde means. It's more of a time to refine what we're working on. And I think that's it. That concludes all the energies for the month of October. And this was the Pisces October 2019. I'm out. Thank you.